Hello and welcome to what is going to be episode 6 of Entrepreneur Essentials with myself, Eamon McCaffrey. And I just want to start off with a big congratulations to myself, as arrogant as that might sound. Recently, I reached a milestone, mightn't be that big a significant one for many people, but for me, it's quite significant. I have now been selling on the Amazon platform for a little over 8 years. So 2 weeks ago there, I passed the 8 year milestone for selling on Amazon. And I'm bloody chuffed with that because when I first started out, there was a lot of names that sort of started popping up. You sort of seen them on listings, seen them in Facebook groups, you got to know who they were predominantly online. Most of them I never actually met in person. And recently, I came across files where I had documented links to their storefronts and links to their Facebook page. And most of those links don't work anymore. Either the Facebook pages are non existent, maybe because I've been blocked because of my sparkling personality, but more so, the links to their Amazon storefronts now said there's no active listings for one reason or another, whether that is they have moved on to different ventures, they have stopped for personal reasons, or they just couldn't cut it. I can only speculate as I don't know them on a personal level, but the majority of them have not passed the test of time. And they say within business, if you can make it past year 3, you can make it work. So now that I'm into my technically my ninth year coming, it is quite reassuring to know that I've made it this distance, and if I can make it this distance, well, surely I can make it further. So, yeah, big congratulations to myself on that one, and I'm bloody delighted with it. What I would say in that time is that when it comes to business, it definitely isn't about the circumstances, it's about your ability to see opportunities in the chaos. There is opportunities in everything that happens in life. If you've got the wherewithal to be able to see that, to be able to go, there's an opportunity, I'm going to go for it. Yes, please. So since Brexit hit, my sales in Europe have steadily dwindled until they fell off a cliff with the introduction of country of origin within the Amazon platform. That is Amazon enforcing legislation around country of origin and the movements of goods in and out of Europe in relation to the UK and Brexit. So when Brexit hit, Amazon panicked, turned everything off on the fulfillment method that I was using. Slowly then started turning it back on, and now they've enforced this rule. And because most of my listings are deemed as being of origin from the UK, can't sell them in Europe. So most people would see that as a problem. I seen that as an opportunity that there was legislation in place between Europe and the UK. And within Northern Ireland, you know, where there's legislation, there's always going to be something that can get round it. So the lack of import duties and tariffs when you move stock from the EU to Northern Ireland has meant that I've been able to set up quite a decent secondary business. I'm not going to call it a side hustle because at this stage of the game, it's earning its stripes. And very simple, we bring stock in from Europe into Northern Ireland where there's no import duties, and then from there it can move to several different places, either within Northern Ireland or within the wider part of the United Kingdom. For anybody listening to this, if you can identify any flaws ethically or legally with that, please do get in touch. I've done my due diligence, and the professional advice that I have sort of said that it is fully compliant with all legislation. So that helps me sleep well at night. But it got me thinking Northern Ireland within the wider scheme of both the British economy and global economy was always punched above its weight. And I don't know if that is directly due to the fact that there's always been, well, not always, but in recent history, there's been a border. And has that border sort of led to the opportunity of exploitation? You have people smuggling pigs and butter and alcohol and cigarettes and running diesel and washing diesel and all that sort of stuff around the border areas for generations now. Has that led to an ethos of ingenuity within the Northern Ireland economy? Is it more to do with the fact that legacy of the Troubles has led us to saying, well, we need to stand on our own 2 feet, that while we may get block grants, my understanding of it, from England, we're never going to get enough and we need to sort of push ourselves on? Or is it to do with the smaller community here that we help each other out, we work well, better with each other, and as such, prospers more within business realms? I don't bloody know, is the honest answer to that quandary. But what I do know is when you compare growth, and a well prepared person would have statistics to back up these statements. But just from what I can see on LinkedIn, just from what I can see in social media, just from what I see in local news media, which are putting a positive spin on things, I'm sure, Northern Ireland is far outstripping its counterparts in England, Scotland, and Wales at similar levels. And I think it just goes to show that Northern Ireland, from having come through the troubles and all the nonsense of the North, they've had to be more resilient. They've had to see the opportunities and just go for it and make the best out of what is, in many instances, not been a wonderful situation. So I think I'm a legacy of that too, whereby I tried to be a teacher, never could get the job, things weren't going well, and I thought, stuff it. I can either complain or I can see the opportunities. Saw the opportunity within Amazon, and in the grand scheme of things, I see myself starting to now deviate away from Amazon in its pure form of just selling physical products on it to now not only just doing the coaching side of things, but also the the prep and the logistics side that I offer for some sellers, doing consultation and management for key brands in Northern Ireland. And I'm curious as to what the future is. Within that, I can sort of see the future within my own businesses of being brand partnerships with global brands. We are working on a couple currently. They're at different stages of development. They're not just there quite yet, but that's where I see us going, where we would be a partner of big brands, both for logistics and for point of sale, due to the fact that we are very uniquely positioned within Northern Ireland, United Kingdom, and Ireland as a whole, putting local politics aside and whatever your opinions on that might be. I have learned of late that my politics varies greatly on the direction of which I'm moving pallets. Depending on which way the pallet's going, would tell you which side of the divide that I'm strongly got opinions on in that particular day. Because it's brass tacks of it, there's certain times when it's beneficial to be European, and there's certain times when it's beneficial to be British. And I will utilize both of those opportunities to the best I can. But in the future, I can see it being that where we are geographically located, we would have the ability to move stock through the whole island of Ireland, between north and south, in a very quick manner. So, why should you be looking at Ireland? If you are an entrepreneur in the UK, is Ireland of any relevance to you? Quite possibly not, but it could be a gateway to getting your stock into the island of Ireland. It is a growing economy. It is an economy that is very much going online. They have a good level of disposable income, despite what you will hear in the media about that. And the Amazon platform in Ireland has only been developed in May. And from the research that I have been looking at, most of the products listed on the Amazon platform in Ireland are actually being shipped over from England. So there's plenty of opportunities to physically put your product in there. So you can be using Northern Ireland as a means to do that. That aside, it's a small, tight knit, very sort of well connected community. And as such, once you have sort of got yourselves in that community, if you need something, people are very willing to help each other out. At least I've seen that within the business game. I know when I started running into issues with my warehouse, speaking to other local business people, got those issues resolved very quickly and with a great deal of ease, much easier than I thought it was going to be. So that has always been quite reassuring and supportive, because while we don't go in for the whole American happy clappy side of things of, isn't he doing amazing, and sort of the Trump of, such a great guy, pardon such a terrible effort at an accent there. But in our own way, we are very supportive of local businesses. We will support them if there's justification there. If they wrong you, you cut them dead. That's just the way they are. So yeah, Northern Ireland, there is plenty of opportunities within the realms of Northern Ireland economy for growth, both within my business, both within Amazon, and I would say just relationships between England and Northern Ireland as a whole over the next couple of years. And I look forward to seeing how that goes. So much so that I'm now trying to push myself more into LinkedIn to have a more professional level of networking. Case in point, when I started out on Amazon 8 years ago, Facebook was the go to thing. You've now got Instagram, you've got Discord groups, you've got Telegram groups, but there is a growing community on LinkedIn, and I'm struggling to navigate it. I used it years ago to try and get a job. It served me very well. I got the job. I didn't take the job. I took a job local to home. I met my now wife. We got married. I developed my business. LinkedIn, great. Sign up the professional version. Um, but I can see that being where I will be now putting my efforts for marketing both the iGen side of coaching, for marketing the logistics that I offer, and for also using it as an opportunity to try and network with brands to showcase myself as an authority within the Amazon world as to if they are looking somebody to work with, Eamon McCaffrey is who they should be speaking to. And 8 years in, I know that those sort of things don't happen overnight, but I'm now starting to develop both a professional and personal brand of consistency, of not being a fly by night, not being a flash in the pan, of somebody that has gone the distance, who is doing what they're doing, who isn't rallying around in a Lambo just yet, but can do what they say. So that has been very reassuring to me, the fact that I've been able to get this far, and I'm bloody delighted with myself, even if my facial expressions does not always show it. So yeah, from looking at LinkedIn, from looking at my business and how it's come, I've now started to realize that I have been missing a trick for far too long when it comes to networking. So it probably doesn't come as much of a shock to anybody listening to this that networking is massive when it comes to trying to grow a business, to trying to grow an audience, to try and develop any sort of business um, reputation. Even just trying to solve problems and figure stuff out. But I've always sort of acted very much as a lone wolf, whether that has been coming from a position of insecurities, whether that has become from jealousy or what, I don't know. The chip on my shoulder is very much balanced. I've got one on each shoulder. And while I have worked with many people, there has definitely been times when instead of providing constructive feedback, I've just provided criticism and trolling on social media, which has not done me any favors. Some of which have actually come back to me having to be somewhat bashful when actually meeting the person in public. Many times, though, I'm unreservedly unapologetic because everything I've said, not only did I mean it in the moment on now, but it was 100% accurate, which people would sort of half expect you to sort of back down and apologize. But no, if I've said something wrong, I will. But if I'm correct and I know I'm correct, the arrogance in me will not let me apologize just to save face. I will stand my ground. But recently, I've been trying to attend networking events both in Northern Ireland at the, I believe, Federation of Small Business, um, Chamber of Commerce, I believe. Can't remember which one it is I've signed up to. It's a disgrace. But I've signed up with a couple of different ones. I've went to a couple of local events, which have been very sort of worthwhile, I would say. But also within England as well, there's been a couple of Amazon events recently and upcoming that I'm attending. And yeah, so far, the ones that I've attended, I have got great benefit out of just from networking to people, just by going, hey, I'm having this problem, then going, all you have to do is send this in. click this, do this. Simple, simple things that can really help you get ahead quickly. And it's made me realize that, you probably will get further. It's that old adage, if you want to go far, go with company. If you want to go fast, go alone. Well, I'm not going anywhere fast. I want to go the distance, so I need to start working with more people. So if you're listening to this and you think that there might be something we could work on, something I need to learn, any fascinating facts you might want to tell me, feel free to drop me a message. I would appreciate some engagement and some comments on some of these recordings. Speaking of which, if you've got 15 minutes in, or however far it is when this has been edited, and you haven't stopped listening so far, A, thank you. And B, please like, share, subscribe, send it to your granny, send it to that other guy, that's doing Amazon or it's doing TikTok or Shopify. I would greatly appreciate it. So, networking. I'm slowly coming around to the realization that it's something that I should have probably been doing from the very beginning. And it's something that I need to start actively engaging in now. And I am putting an effort into it. But it doesn't come naturally to me. I could chat the hind leg of a donkey, but actually go and identifying people that might be of value to my career or that are well connected and being able to sort of develop a meaningful connection there so that we can collaborate together is something that I'm still trying to navigate. And all feedback and support and suggestions are definitely welcome there. So that's on the side of networking. I said there as I was talking on about the different platforms, and I mentioned TikTok. Again, that's another thing that I'm trying to do. At the moment, I'm trying to get TikTok off the ground. I'm trying to get my own Shopify website, which I've had for years, but I've never sold on it. I want to start making sales in that. And I want to start developing my own private label with inside North America. We had originally been selling in the United States as an online arbitrage seller. We lost the account for 10 months. We got it resolved. And considering that I don't do arbitrage within any other aspects of my business, it doesn't align with the business strategy at the moment. So we want to start doing our own listings and own brand in the US. We've everything all set up there, but as of yet, we haven't any active listings. So that is something I want to work on. Across the water, Northern Ireland, UK, I am currently trying to get all our listings active again in Europe, trying to navigate the world that is country of origin and legislation there. We want to start posting and pushing sales on TikTok. We made our first sale 2 weeks ago, which I'm delighted about. Upon further inspection, I think it was dumb luck because we don't know how we did it. We don't know how to replicate it. And we don't even know if we got paid for it because it showed us cancelled and then it showed us delivered. It showed that we had got funds, but nowhere where it shows it being dispersed or where we could draw them out. And we're still very much scratching our head on that one. So that is something we're trying to work on. And again, the Shopify website. But what I have learned from all of this is forget about task lists, forget about to-do lists, forget about here's what I'm going to do today, here's what I need to do this week. It is vastly, vastly inefficient. So recently I had to take the van for MOT, and on the way back I was listening to what effectively was a quite long feature-length sales pitch from an Irish business consultant who argued they could get a lot of your time back to make you 500% more efficient in your day and make you a lot more efficient with your time so you can reduce the amount of hours working in your business or on your business and have either more time to grow it or more time to spend doing hobbies, interests, spend time with family, whatever people that aren't up to their age in business get up to. And as I listened to what was a very effective sales pitch and tried to figure out what was the secret sauce that he was telling them, it suddenly dawned on me what he was doing. So the whole crux of what it was rather than just having to-do lists of activities and tasks that need done, spoiler alert, you do kind of need to have a team of staff in place for this to work because a big aspect of it was delegation. So Delegate out the smaller tasks of which you doing them yourself does not provide any value. So, take for example, parceling up a packet of biscuits into a box, going onto the Royal Mail website, printing out a label, printing it onto the computer, taping it onto the box, and delivering it to the post office. Any competent individual can do that. That does not need to be the director of the business doing that. They could be spending that time trying to analyze sales statistics. They could be spending that time working with angel investors to try and raise capital. They could be trying to look at new trends or new features on their website that are very much a goal and a focus to their brand, not putting something in a box, sticking a label on, putting in the post box. So what he was saying was you need to be focusing on what are the key goals and outcomes of what you're trying to achieve. What are the tasks that are vital that you do that are going to leverage you? Because he kept on talking about leveraging and how much you can leverage time. And what he was doing was the high value tasks, the ones that are going to deliver the most return in your time, those are the ones you should be focused on, and everything else you either delegate, delete, or hire somebody else in to do them. So I've been trialing it in my own team, and it's something that I struggle with because usually I like to-do list and I like the satisfaction of ticking something off on a list. It's something I've done for years. But recently, rather than going, I have a to-do list, what I've been doing is going, what are the goals? What are the strategies that are vital within my business for this week and this month? What is the outcome? How will I know if I achieved it? What is the success criteria? What is classified as success within that? So you do have to somewhat put a numerical value on it. You can't just say, I want more sales. Well, if you do £5 more in revenue, that's more sales. Are you happy? Probably not. So you need to put a definitive number on a lot of these metrics so that you can measure them. And then instead of me going, right, today this is what I'm going to work on, I'm going to knock my pan into 2 in the morning doing this, I have been putting them out into my team, giving each team member a project manager for each individual project, setting up communication channels within Slack so that they can document what they're doing, coordinate with the other members of the team that are managing other projects, and just saying, here's the outcome, here is what we are classifying as a success, here's your access to whatever tools you need. Let me know if I can be of any help and facilitation. Which comes back to, and I have completely forgot the guy's name, but he was the guy that set up Alibaba and AliExpress. I watched a video about him recently, and he said that he wasn't the best, he wasn't the brightest, but what he did was he hired the best, he hired the brightest, he gave them the resources they need, he made sure they were talking to the other great people within the field, and then he got out of the road and let them get on with their work. Similar quotes have been attributed to Steve Jobs and I believe Bill Gates. Sorry, not Bill Gates, Richard Branson. I've definitely heard him say that one too. And that's what it is. There's only so many hours in a day, and if you're at a level where you're micromanaging small things within your business, you're always going to stay at that level. You need to be able to delegate out to your team, get them to do it. Now, I'm taking the vast assumption there that you've got a team. If you don't, look to see what support you have in place. Can you hire a team? Can you hire staff? Can you hire people off Fiverr? Can you get members of your family to help out? Now, just because I'm saying team doesn't mean that I'm supplying or employing 50 people in my local community yet. I am supplying or employing some, but not that many. But it doesn't mean that you have to be spending tens of thousands of pounds a month in payroll, because for many people that is not something that's achievable when you're starting out. Myself included, just to clarify that. So delegate out the small tasks, have a clear outcome, success criteria, and deadline for what you want it done, and stand back. Now, yes, weekly check in with them, make sure you're on task, anything that needs help with. Document everything out with SOPs, Loom videos, and those sort of activities which document out those Scribe, I believe. There's a lot of different ones on the market now that will document out manual processes. At this point in the game, I probably should be sitting raving about the benefits of AI and how there's an app that will transcribe this entire podcast into text, condense it out into a one page PDF, and then turn that into a Facebook reel that you can just watch and be like, ah, that's what he was talking about. But my experience with AI is that it is brilliantly marketed, but the application and delivery of it still leaves a lot to be desired. I wanted to produce a document recently, so I thought, hey, ChatGPT will help. I handed him a document that I had already done. Went, I would like this filled out with a little bit more detail, and have at it. Okay, cool. Would you like a cover page? Yes. Would you like your branding on it? Yes. Would you like this color on it? Yes. 3 hours later of me saying yes, what should have been a 5 to 8 page document was now 23 separate files. I went, super, this is going to look so impressive. We had advertising calendars all set up. We had marketing campaigns all lined up. Great. And I'm like, can you produce that? Give me the downloads. Of course we can. Great. ChatGPT, super. How long will this be? 2 to 3 days. Okay, get started. Can I get these within the time limit? And then it pops up a message. You have to keep talking to me. I can't keep running in the background. So what people are raving about, what people are saying is, well, billions of dollars. You have to keep talking to it because it can't work on its own. It gets lonely. I ended up getting a very vaguely different production of the original document that I put in, with an incredibly weak cover page put in the front of it. And I realized all it does is keep asking questions and telling you how amazing it's going to be, so it doesn't actually have to deliver. And again, I'm sure there's going to be people listening to this going, well, you're an idiot, you don't know how to use it, you're asking the wrong questions, you should have used this prompt, you should have used that. And that is probably correct. But my current experience with using AI within business is it looks good until you actually ask it to deliver something of consequence, in which case it has seriously got a long way to go. It's great for generating ideas, not going to lie. I've got it open in front of me at the minute, and I put a couple of ideas down on page, and I put them into talking points and bullet points for me for this podcast. But that's about the limitation of it I see at the moment. And I'm now scrolling them down, and it's got nothing else to put into me. So, AI, much further still to go there. Recapping so far, we have covered my brutally honest truth on AI, why I should be networking more, how you can focus more on goals and tasks as opposed to, goals and outcomes as opposed to tasks. I haven't said that you will still have task lists. Like, tomorrow I need to go and put tires in the car. Could I delegate that out to an employee? Possibly, but I also want to go and do it myself and, have to do something to while in the day. Northern Ireland economy, growing, booming, and glad to be a part of it. And I am incredibly proud of the fact that I've made it 8 years in the game selling on Amazon, and I'm massively looking forward to the next 8. But as a whole, I'm more looking forward to what those 8 years are going to have in store generally for my business. I can see Amazon most definitely always being a part of it. I can see how it builds a part of my business massively changing. So we have managed to effectively build a retail business online with the absence of a bricks and mortar building for the first couple of years. Now we've obviously got the warehouses, and that has been quite heavily reliant on the Fulfilled by Amazon model for the ancillary support and services that are available there for merchant cash advances, for softwares that are tailored around that market and industry. And it is something that I can see was always having an aspect within, but I can see that deviating as the years go on. I've started following other content creators and business owners in Northern Ireland that are talking about buying already established businesses. Shout out if anybody actually could get this to, I believe her name is Jenna Hill. Buy small businesses, checks out the EBITDA, makes sure they're all profitable, buys them, keeps her original staff within them, puts her own spin on it. I'm sure comes in, changes a few things up, and maintains the business. And the best part, from what I can establish, and correct me if I'm wrong, is they don't just go and buy the business outright. I believe they put down a deposit, but they use the business earnings to buy the business from the previous owner. Now, I'm sure I've massively oversimplified that, and I'm sure there's nuances that we need to be aware of. I'm not fully aware of them yet, but it massively, massively intrigues me as someone who has already bought three businesses. Some have been more successful than others. It's something that I can definitely see myself doing in the future. I have since set up secondary businesses with the Northern Ireland Gateway for the logistics of stock in from Europe into Northern Ireland. And again, I set out, seen an opportunity, I set out a process, I kept things incredibly basic, focused on doing basic things very well, keeping things very simple, so you don't have failure points, so that it can be done quickly and efficiently without breaking down the chain of production, and then just let it grow. And that has been a lot easier to grow than initially starting out on Amazon. Don't get me wrong though, if people are saying, hey, I want to start an Amazon business, yes, I coach on Amazon. I've got a vested interest in saying, hey, you should start. I can show you how to do it. Pay me money and I will show you how to do that. But from what we've seen within recent people within the Northern Ireland economy promoting such businesses, it is not without its risks. Does Amazon, fulfilled by Amazon fulfillment, still pose a massive opportunity within Ireland and the UK in 2025, 2026? Absolutely. Within Ireland, Amazon's still struggling to get partner carriers in place. It is a very much emerging market. There is a lot of opportunities there. Within the UK, there is still very much opportunities. The likes of retail arbitrage and online arbitrage are becoming a lot more legislated. There's a lot more compliance documentation required to operate in those sectors. But that's simply Amazon wanting to protect its customers, wanting to make sure that it doesn't have any bad actors as sellers within the platform, and it is just being hyper aggressive on that currently. But it is still a fantastic opportunity. If you're doing everything right, if you can get your paperwork correct from day one, you don't have the opportunity now of just running around retail outlets and hoping for the best. You have to have your paperwork in place from day one now. It is the only way to be fully safe on it. It is still a fantastic opportunity. Lending wise and funding, there's still a raft of opportunities on the marketplace that will give you credit, will give you funding, will give you cash advances. Unfortunately, due to inflation, the cost of borrowing has massively increased in recent years post Brexit. Sorry, post COVID, not Brexit. But that is the nature of the economy and is not down to that business model. If somebody was serious about wanting to sell on Amazon, I would most definitely be encouraging them to do so. But stressing the word serious. As a side hustle, yes, you can do it, but you have to be very selective about what you're doing and realize that most of the videos you see in TikTok and social media on I went into curries and in 10 minutes I made £150. No. They spent real money or they spent money on a credit card with the potential of maximum earning £150. You then have to take out overheads and all the different things and what's not. So I like to be realistic about the levels of what's involved so that I'm not selling it to anybody. But 8 years in, it has provided me a massive, massive mechanism to greatly improve my standard of living for myself, my wife, and my children. And if I was still working as a teacher, I would not have had that standard of life. Not that teachers don't have a good standard of life by any means, but just from knowing the money that's coming in, from the money that's going out, where things are going, I know that it's more than a teacher's salary because my wife's a teacher and I know whose credit card gets used the most around here. All I'd say about that one. So, conscious time. I don't think I've got it in me on an individual podcast where it's just myself to be pushing it out to an hour of content. And I'm not going to just keep talking for the sake of filling a void. But I will sort of share my sort of goals and aspirations for this podcast going forward. I believe I said in the last one that I was going to start pushing them out on a more weekly basis. That didn't happen, mainly because the last podcast was meant to be sponsored, and then the sponsors just simply didn't pay the invoice. And I gave them time, and I thought, well, sure, it gives me time to focus on other things, and I'll come back to that. And I gave them more time and more time, and finally I just said, you know what, lads, I don't really need to be beholden to you or anybody. I'm just going to do the podcast my own. When sponsorships come down the line, well and good. I'll take their money. I'll tell people their product's great. Only if it actually is. But for now, I'm just going to do it for me. I want to build this up as a podcast for people that are either aspiring, struggling, or growing as an entrepreneur, as a showcase for brilliant examples of entrepreneurship. So I've already been reaching out to people that I would like to have on as a guest to interview to talk about their stories, how they see things. So if you're listening to this and you think you would like that you fit the bill for that, again, please drop me a message. Would love to chat. But also, I want to sort of build it out as a how-to guide or a roadmap for people within the realms of entrepreneurship. If that's even a word. Because it's a tough road. It's a hard road, and at times it is bloody lonely. Because you might have a lot of people collaborating with you, you might have a lot of friends within the sector, but they'll come and go, and you'll realize that with running a business, again, if we look at some of the other podcasts I put out, you have to be incredibly resilient. You have to be comfortable with the pain points in life. And cliched as this, I was debating whether or not adding this in or not, but seen an advert recently, and if I can find it, Memento Morum, and I'm sure I'm saying that wrong, but it was Remember Death. Now, I seen it as an advert for the start of a film. I think it's coming out on Netflix. I think it's 28 Days Later. Memento Mori. So, remember you must die. And I was sitting thinking about that a little bit this week, and I thought it's a brilliant sort of soundbite for anybody that's running their own business. Because realistically, at the end of the day, you're not getting out alive. We're all going to end up in the same pine box or equivalent, and that's going to be the end of us. So take the risks, make sure they're calculated, do what makes you happy. Don't listen to what other people are saying, which is why these podcasts aren't going out as much as I would like them to, because, well, I have a mental block about coming on, speaking to a ring light for now 30 odd minutes and trying to put out something that people actually want to listen to, and realizing that while I said Northern Ireland business community is very supportive, Northern Ireland as a whole is going to be like, who does your one think he is? And we're all going to end up in the same way anyway. And the people that are saying that aren't paying my mortgage, so they can politely go and sort out their own financial affairs. And that is quite liberating when you're running a business to realize, forget about other people's opinion of you. It's their opinion, not yours. You've no business listening to it. And realizing that we're all going to end up the same way. So the journey through life, you might as well make it your own. Do what you want to do, not have any regrets. Obviously operate within the realms of the law for the most part, and try not to piss anybody off or hurt anybody. But those sort of caveats aside, do what makes you happy, take the risks, and you will be successful for the most part. And if you're not, So go again. You're still alive. Don't kill yourself. Go again. And the next time it might work. It might not. You might have to go a third time, a fourth, or a 27th. I don't really know. Um, Before this call, I was looking into how to liquidate one of the businesses I have, simply because I bought it. We didn't really do much with it. It's now sort of sitting there, somewhat insolvent. We have assets stripped out, the benefits of it, and you're sitting going, how do I draw a line under that from a financial and legal sense and just move on? Do I see that as a failure? Somewhat. Could we have grown it more? Quite possibly. Am I willing to put any more time and effort or money into it? No. Move on. Move on. There are other opportunities, other benefits to look at in life, and just go for that. Guys, I am going to wrap it up there. Ladies and gents, I massively appreciate you listening if you've made it this far. Please share this out. It would be really cool if I was seeing people actually downloading this and getting traction. That would be fantastic. So I would really appreciate if you could do that. If you or somebody you know or somebody you've heard of you think would be a great fit to get interviewed by myself to talk about their business journey, where they see their business or their sector, the economy going in the next couple of years, how they sort of see, events in the world, how that's affecting business, what the opportunities are, what the opportunities might be for me. I would love to hear from them, love to hear from you, or just any feedback in general. If you're like, hey man, your camera quality is a bit crap, or you need to stop staring at the camera a bit more or speak up more. All feedback would be massively appreciated. Hopefully I will be back next week with another podcast. I say hopefully, but we're now working on goals and outcomes. So outcome is one a week. So that is what we're going to stick to. I will see you then. I thank you for listening and getting this far, and I hope you have a fantastic week. Thank you.